Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 459 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. How are you? How's your day? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we're already almost to episode 460, which means we're getting even closer to episode 500. We're going to do something really epic to celebrate 500 episodes of the podcast. I can't wait. I think that'll be sometime in June, in fact. Are you staying warm? We had a big cold snap last week, typical January, though. Now we're getting some snow. It's a winter wonderland. This is January, so I hope you're staying warm wherever you are and that you're having a good week and that you're enjoying your January. I can't believe we're already way over halfway through. Time is just flying by. And that's why this week I wanted to have a conversation around how energetic shifts impact our health, astrology, ascension, and mindset, and the best practices to stay grounded, because I feel like the new year has started with a bang and that there is a lot of different energies floating around the world, the collective energy, there's a lot going on. And I know, some of that is really not good. And my heart and compassion just goes out to people who are really being hit by world circumstances right now. And it's so important to understand that there's a big energetic shift going on the planet right now. And a lot of people don't know about it. Some people aren't open to knowing about it. But a lot of people do know about it and are excited about it. And it's funny because a while ago when I did an Ascension chat, I think it was, oh my goodness, probably a year ago or more. But I talked about ascension symptoms. I talked about all kinds of things to do with energy, and that I really believe that there's this ascension and this awakening going on the planet, and that it is part of what needs to happen, and that it is something that is actually going to end up being a positive experience, but that we do have to go through some certain things. Humanity has some growing pains to really work on. And it's so funny because I swear when I posted this, and I don't know if it disappeared, um, I got a really lot of positive review from this. And then I had one person leave a 1-star review, of course. Then they're like, impending doom. And obviously in the podcast, I didn't say impending doom. I'm like, don't worry. Some people feel like impending doom is coming, but I don't feel that it is, because every time I talk to my intuition, I really feel like there's so much happening. And I'm going to show you, if you're watching on YouTube today, some of the apps that I use, the Schumann resonance and magnetology, to measure the energetic frequency going on the planet right now. And you can get those and track it yourself so that it can help you see, if you're not sleeping good, is there a pattern with the energy? Are you feeling really good and really energized today? Are you having different symptoms that maybe it's actually not something, to do with any, maybe you get blood work and everything looks fine, or you go for the ultrasound like I did with my gallbladder and everything looks fine, but it's actually very much more energetic, because we experience a lot of symptoms based on our emotions and energetic circumstances going on in our bodies and going on outside of ourselves. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today, because so many of my friends, clients, colleagues, family have really noticed these energetic shifts and how they're having an impact. And it's part of it is this upgrade, this increase in frequency that is going on. So stay tuned for a more energetic spiritual woo podcast today. I haven't recorded one of these in a while, and I really wanted to, because 2024 is going to be a big year, I have a feeling, for the planet in a good way. And like I said, I think humanity has some growing pains to go through. It's interesting because one day I was listening to Dr. Stephen Greer, and he is a ufologist. Yes, I believe in extraterrestrials and that there's other life out there. It's okay if you don't. We don't have to be on the same page with everything, but I really do. And I've seen a lot of interesting anomaly in the sky. I've seen what I believe are different craft that will show up and disappear. And he said one day, he's like, there's other civilizations out there that want to connect with us, that want to see humanity do good. But he's like, we need to grow up and stop hurting each other and stop killing and the violence and all these negative things. He's like, we've got some growing up to do to evolve as a species. And he was saying, I really believe we're going to get there and we're going to do that. And that's what's happening now. And I really believe that as well. So if you want to learn more about all that kind of stuff, he's a great person to go to. He's big in that space. So just a couple key things that I want to touch on before we dive into today's episode. The show notes can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/459. And in the show notes, you can find a couple of friendly reminders for things as the following. So the first thing is if you are wanting to connect to explore one-on-one coaching, to overcome binge and emotional eating, binging and purging, perhaps you want to investigate suspected hormone or gut issues, or you feel like no one else is listening to you and you intuitively know something is feeling off with your body, or maybe you're wanting also support with the energetics and spiritual parts of the healing on top of everything else, and you want to learn more about the ascension, and if you have ascension symptoms and how to support your energetic, physical, and emotional body through this whole awakening that we're going through, you can go to amberapproved.ca and schedule a consultation for us to connect. Also, I have opened up another round of the Body Freedom group program that we started in January because I was getting a lot of requests for it again. So if you're interested in coming in a group setting for 8 weeks, it's all online, so your location doesn't matter. And you want to work on things like your cravings, your blood sugar, your digestion, your hormone health, mindset, self-care, really, giving you each individual support in a group setting with whatever you need over 8 weeks. There are going to be 10 spots again. The first 5 spots go for 50% off. So it's $497 Canadian plus tax. And you'll get 8 weeks of coaching in 1 hour group calls. You're going to get tools and worksheets emailed to you. And for a bonus, because why not? I'm hosting a 3-part gut masterclass, Glorious Gut Health, in mid-February. So for any of you that come and secure a spot for the group program, the 8-week group program by January 31st, you are going to get free access to the Glorious Gut Health 3-part masterclass, which is an 88 USD dollar value. You'll get it for free. And if you only want to come for the Glorious Gut Health Masterclass, you are welcome to do that as well. So with that, we're going to understand the key functions of your digestive system, what's fueling your worst gut symptoms, bloating, gas, discomfort, pain, poor detoxification, brain fog, low energy, you name it, we're going through it. And I'm going to give you all kinds of recommendations and tools. So if you want to read about all the details, because I don't want to spend too much time, make my intro too long, you can click the link in the show notes to check out Glorious Gut Health. It's going to be 3 days live in Zoom, 90-minute sessions. You'll get lifetime access to the recordings, and it's on early bird for 55 USD right now. So come and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I absolutely love teaching masterclasses. I have some other ideas for some this year. They're going to be more mindset, emotional, and binge eating based because you guys really love that stuff too. But I haven't done a gut one yet, so I really wanted to. So all the links will be in the show notes at amberapproved.ca/podcast/460. If you want to come and join us for any of that. If you have questions about any of this, info@amberapproved.ca is the best thing you can do. But there's lots here available to support you on your journey. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So how energetic shifts impact our health. So, essentially, to just recap from previous episodes where I've talked about this ascension, and like I mentioned in last week's episode, what were we like 458? Man, sometimes it's hard to keep track. It's just so fun to be launching all these episodes, and I hope you guys are loving them. And if there's a topic I haven't talked about, drop a comment below if you're watching on YouTube in the comments, or email me. I'm totally open for your feedback. I'm probably going to do a Q&A coming up, so if you have any questions, email them or you can DM them as well. So episode 385 on ascension symptoms and ascension, you'll want to check that out at amberapproved.ca/podcast/385. So I went deep into all of that last year. I'll link it again in the show notes for this week's episode. But essentially, that's where I really talked a lot about all of that. So I'm going to just summarize. And this is my personal journey belief, tapping into what I feel is going on the planet, along with a lot of other light workers, colleagues, friends, family members who are in some kind of a health, healing, energetic space, and or are just really tapped into their intuition, their higher self. And to me, it doesn't matter what you believe in, God, Jesus, creator, it's about, there's a higher power that I believe is assisting us and the planet through this ascension, which means ascension means we're going up in frequency, right? Descending means we're going down. So we're going up in frequency. I know it may not feel like it right now, but it's just like Candida protocol. You feel a bit worse before you feel better. And it's like the earth is going through the biggest, fungus Candida cleanse in the history of the planet. And so things get a bit worse before they get better. But I truly believe a lot of good is coming. And, I've just noticed how much fear and shame and guilt and old negative emotions I've cleared out, and how much like less fear I have about things going on the planet. Like I literally do not have fear because I know good is happening and coming. And I think there's a lot going on that we don't see. And depending on like if you're someone who watches a lot of the mainstream media, you're going to see and have a much different experience than someone who's maybe like on, other apps, like where they don't censor, or maybe for you, you're like, I don't look at either. I just want to ground and meditate and like really go inward and feel very, peaceful with myself. And it's like whatever your method is, or your, the way you're navigating life, it's totally divinely unfolding for you, because, as we evolve and ascend as a human, what we start to realize is there's no right or wrong, and your way isn't bad or wrong, and my way isn't bad or wrong. It's us on our own path, on our own soul timeline unfolding, having this human experience that we came here to have. Um, and to me, it's just, you can really feel a shift in the energy, like coming into 2024. I've just felt such a different energy that I've never felt before. Maybe part of that is because we're living in a different house now, which is so nice and quiet and feels so good. But I feel like part of it is also the fact that you can feel a lot of shifting going on in the energy. And so, there's different things that are occurring. So, a colleague who's been on the podcast before, I'll probably have her on again sometime in the spring, because she's so tapped in and so in tune and intuitive, Maureen McRae. She and I were talking one day, and she's like, yeah, the earth is in a photon belt. And so there's all this high frequency light being emitted onto the planet. But because we've never gone through an ascension before, and humans haven't been in this photon belt for like thousands of years, our bodies are going to adjust to a shift in frequency on the planet, because the frequency of the planet is increasing, not decreasing. And you can measure proof of that with things like the Schumann resonance. And so I'm going to show that here on my screen. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see. And I'll put a link to the app into the show notes so you can check it out. But I'm going to just show you an example of like some of the cool stuff that's going on. So the Schumann resonance essentially measures the resonance frequency or heartbeat of the earth. And the average frequency has been just around like just 7.2 hertz or 7.3 hertz. And if you think about it, the frequency of love is 532 hertz. The frequency of the soul is 432 hertz. So she's normally vibrating at 4 or at 7 point some hertz. Okay. So what the Schumann resonance does is it measures all the high frequency light coming onto the planet. And this equipment sometimes, now the frequencies are reading so high some days that it's literally like almost tripping the equipment, and the equipment stops working because the equipment hasn't ever read measures this high before. And I'm going to get into how this impacts our mindset, our behaviors, and our health right away. But I just wanted to explain that a little bit first, and I am going to show it here right away. So it's a very interesting way to read the energy that's going on the planet. So I'm going to explain what the colors stand for, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So blue, it means homeostasis. It means like pretty level, not a lot going on. If there's green in the Schumann resonance, it's collective consciousness, humanity, stable energy. If there's red, it's blocked and/or dark energy that is coming up for clearing and purging. Yellow is healing and transformation with the collective. This is very much a collective experience. And the white is the divine light, the Christ consciousness, 5D light coding, high frequency light coding coming onto the planet. And we're receiving that. And that's the ascension symptoms and the upgrades, believe it or not, that we are experiencing. And I think for a lot of you, you'll resonate with this. Like maybe there's relationships falling away, less stuff you tolerate. You have less fear, less worry, less concern. You're more motivated and desire to do your deeper work and healing. You're feeling, either in desire to like really cocoon and take care of yourself or be more in community, right? But it's like the service to do good and to be of service. And that was that whole channeling I talked about with Blossom last week, and how, when Phil and I are out and about, we'll clean up garbage, and we'll like clean off the toilet seat and like hold the door open for people, because why wouldn't you, right? It's like just being kind, and kind acts of service are all part of this, karma that we're receiving back. So to just show you some examples, the Schumann resonance, there is an app for it. And so the app itself is called Schumann Resonance, and it's got like blue and green kind of like graph in the app, so you can check it out. But it shows you part of like the readings from a frequency standpoint, how many hertz, right? We're in right now. Are we in, are we at a frequency of 20 hertz, 90 hertz? We get up to over 100, or are we at 7? But my favorite part is the spectrogram, which essentially shows you what is going on right now with the frequency. So yesterday I was feeling such a surge of high vibes. And then it's like, wow, yeah, because there's all that white, that high frequency light, we're receiving that. And I find on days where that's occurring, a few years ago, I would like purge, like everything that would come out, cellular debris. And I was having a lot of loose stools, but not sick. This is just my body responding. And now when the 5D high vibe light happens, I just feel so good and energized. You may have trouble sleeping though. We'll talk a bit about Ascension symptoms, headaches, feeling run down, feeling all of a sudden like you can't eat certain foods or you want to eat a bunch more foods like through, November and December. I could not eat enough fat. Fat like brie, goat brie. My body's like, just eat more of it, eat more of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but like you can only eat so much fat. And my body's like, I need more, I need more. And then it just was like, okay, I'm going to just eat more of this and listen to my body. And then one day she's like, okay, now we want less and we want more fruits again. We want more apples and things. And it's just so interesting when you become attuned to your body. But then we see how today there's more blue and green, so it's just more stable energy. There's not really a lot else going on. You can measure previous days, which is really cool. But I really love this. You can see we've had a lot of activity this month since January started. So you can get the Schumann Resonance app. And then the magnetology. So essentially it measures the geomagnetic field, and it measures the level of essentially solar activity, and the amount of, yeah, solar activity coming onto the planet. Um, and it allows us to also see the forecast of geomagnetic storms, and the state of the Earth's geomagnetic field, because geomagnetic storms, solar wind, not winds, solar flares, adversely affect the health of humans. And a lot of people don't realize this. So maybe if you're more energetically and emotionally attuned, more spiritually attuned, you may wake up and go like, why yesterday did I feel so good? And today I feel like garbage, but nothing has changed. Well, it could be due to these different energies coming onto the planet. They can really fuel aches, dizziness, rapid heart rate, abnormal blood pressure, changes in digestion, fatigue, again, wanting to sleep more, brain fog, headaches. I find it really causes disruption with my sleep, which I'm like, oh, come on. You may feel more emotionally triggered. For some people, this could trigger more emotional eating because it's just unsettled energy. Um, so I find there's a reading of 0 to 9 on the KP index. And obviously 0 means there's nothing and 9 means extremely strong activity, and everywhere in between. And this is also where if it's above a 4 or 5 up to a 9, it really can impact your technology as well. So be patient with technology. So we can have up to 50 geomagnetic storms a year, which is incredible. So I love to just check in on these because I've noticed a pattern that when we have the KP index go high, so all this solar energy coming onto the planet, solar flares, whatever you want to call them, from the sun, I notice on the days where it's like 4, 5, 6, 7 plus, I'm really tired, feels really tired. We could sleep all day. Now, disclaimer, this is not to like ignore any other symptoms or go and get like your health checked out if you're having high blood pressure or you're having stuff going on with like different heart rates and things like that. Like you always go and get that checked out. I'm just saying that what I'm noticing, because I've gone through a lot of different Ascension symptoms, and there's never anything physically wrong with my body. My gallbladder is one of my sounding boards when a lot of Ascension stuff comes up, and we had like a really high level solar flare energy on January 1st, and I was so nauseous. My gallbladder was acting up, and that's what happens for me. It impacts my gallbladder meridian, and then a few days later it goes away. Last year I had a thyroid thing where my thyroid got really overactive, and I literally stopped taking my thyroid support altogether for a few weeks. And I take less than I used to. In fact, I take half the supplements I used to, thanks to all these shifts in energies going on the planet. And what's really interesting, and I know for some of you that I work with and or that are listening that are more energetically, emotionally sensitive and in tune, what I've started noticing is my body is craving and responding better to homeopathic support versus supplements themselves. So I'm taking more homeopathic drops and things for my detoxification, for my urinary system, for nervous system. And then there's a few things I still take for like B complex and things for my, while I repair my adrenal health and things like that. And my probiotic, but I'm way more with homeopathy. My body responds to it way more quickly and much better. And it's a lot more gentle. And that's because there's a much more energetic connection with homeopathy versus supplementation. But some of you may notice the opposite. So each person is just so different. And I think that's what I can't get across enough is each person is so different and you're going to have a different experience. And for some of you, you can care less about this and this means nothing to you. And that's totally okay. But maybe one day as things keep shifting, you're like, ooh, when Amber said that, maybe I should go back and listen to that episode. But I know for some of you, you're like, girl, you're speaking my language. Yes, I feel you. I feel exactly what's going on. And like I said, there's a lot of good coming. Have faith in humanity, have faith in the planet, have faith in the collective. Um, and I do think we have some growing pains to go through because I agree with Dr. Greer. Humanity needs to grow up. Wars need to stop. Violence needs to stop. The way human beings have been and are being treated on this planet is not okay. I don't stand for any of it. And that's just the way it should not be. It just should not. So my intent and wish always is that we see steps toward more collective, focusing our energy on unity, world peace, right? And a lot of healing going on this planet so that these things that don't serve humanity or anybody end because they're so unnecessary and they don't serve, they only drop the frequency of the planet. But this ascension can't go back. It's been decided, it's being supported in so many ways we can't even imagine. You can go and listen to Blossom Goodchild. She channels the Federation of Light and talks a lot about this. There's a lot of other really great channels as well, depending on what you want to listen to. But really, really excited for the future and everything to come. And what's going to create that future is us actually now being willing to do our deeper work, our mindset work, our energy and spiritual work, our physical healing. Because the more each one of us individually does our healing, guess what? That collectively positively impacts the planet. Because if here's an example, right? So I read something one day that when a monk, a Buddhist monk, who was enlightened, so enlightenment is like, I think above the frequency of 800 or 900 hertz. Right? Remember, love is the frequency of 532 hertz. Um, and so they put him in the middle of a town, and the crime rate went down like 50% because he vibrated so high that he could positively impact the collective of like 1 to 2 million people around him. That's how this stuff works. That's why when full moons hit, it messes with people's emotions and people are more short and reactive because the astrology and the energy impacts us on a deep level. It really does. Um, so I'm just going to show you quickly the KPI magnetology. It's today it's at a 3. We're going between a 3 and a 2, which I'm grateful for because I feel like there's just been so much energy. So sometimes it's nice to have that little break and have that kind of like just what's the word, like just balance, homeostasis. But so if I can get to the point where my natural frequency is like 432 hertz or above, or 532 hertz or above, I'm going to positively impact the hundreds of people in my neighborhood that live around me more than if I'm vibrating at a really low frequency. And I think that, it's my responsibility to do my deeper work and my responsibility to raise my frequency as much as I can to help like work with everyone else on the planet to raise the frequency, because the higher the frequency gets, okay, and high frequencies, things like love, joy, happiness, unity, gratitude, abundance, connection, right? Low frequency is hate, anger, jealousy, violence, guilt, shame, right? Really negative emotions, very dense and heavy. And that's where low frequency behaviors happen, like all the low frequency stuff on the planet. And so the higher the frequency gets, guess what? Negative, low vibe behaviors, events can no longer exist. Okay. So and I know humanity evolves to, I think it's like a 2 out of 10 in evolution planet, then ideally like all that stuff is left in the past and we have, more unification in a peaceful species here on this planet, being the humans. Right. So I'm going to be really optimistic. I'm going to be really positive. Why would I go into a lot of negative gloom and doom? That doesn't help anyone. I'm here to raise the frequency and lift up the planet. And if you're like eye roll, like, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, that's okay. But like, I'm here to be and shine a light. And I've done a ton of research. I've tapped in a lot intuitively. I've talked to my higher self. I've surrounded myself with really beautiful souls, and we're on the same page. And we can see a lot of proof it's happening in the Schumann resonance, the magnetology, all the other people that are channeling and talking about all of this right now. It's happening. And if you look, you can see proof, you can feel it. It is shifting for the better. And it's also having an impact on us and our health and well-being. So I've talked about some of those ascension symptoms. And there's not only that, but there is like behaviors. So some days you may feel really ungrounded and like your energy is really up out of your body. And that could trigger a binge, or that could trigger emotional eating. Because you may think eating is going to ground you, when in fact, what Ascension wants to show us is misaligned habits and self-sabotaging behaviors that are no longer serving us, that are dense, in hopes that you will face it, look at it, want to heal and overcome the self-sabotage of food, the binging, the purging, the emotional eating, the food addiction, the food fears, the negative self-talk, the body hate and shame, because it's all low frequency behavior and it's no judgment. Your soul is here to have the experience that she or he is here to have. However, the more we heal, the more our frequency raises, the more we attract what we want and create the reality we want. And that is absolutely a gift and so incredible. And you deserve to have that. So the more we ascend, we don't tolerate these low frequency behaviors anymore. We don't tolerate sitting in negative emotions, holding grudges, hanging on to the past. We forgive, we let go, we move forward, we set good boundaries, we step more into our power, right? We take better care of ourselves and our health and well being. We prioritize ourselves, right? We really step more into our aligned selves, which I think is so empowering. And the higher your frequency gets, the more of a manifesting magnet that you are. And I think that's also really powerful as well. And you also heal your body more, and you feel more energetic, and you're more tapped into your intuition, which feels amazing, of course. Also, you are more tapped into your higher self. Your intuitive and spiritual gifts come more online. Maybe you see more, you feel more, you hear, right? You can connect with and channel certain ideas. You get more what are called downloads, which is literally you connected to source. Like, some of my best ideas for content come in the middle of the night. Same with the podcast. I'm like, I'd love to sleep. And then my intuition's like, yeah, but you need to be awake right now to get this message. And I'm like, okay, well, can we get it fast so I can go back to sleep? I mean, and I talk to so many that it's the same thing. So it's really like, be open. I encourage you to have an open mind. At the same time, each to their own. But this is our divine birthright. We have been so conditioned that spirituality and woo and intuition and higher self and all these things are woo and weird and blah, blah. But of course, anything that's really good, we've been conditioned is bad. Look at the dandelion. We've been so conditioned that dandelions are this like weed that's annoying, that grows everywhere, when it's one of the most medicinal, amazing plants that we can use to improve our health. So essentially what I've learned over the past like 10 years is whatever is pushed and deemed as the weirdest, wildest, most woo bad things are usually some of the best things, including tapping into your intuition, learning how to connect and talk to your body, talk to your higher self, even guides and angels around you. Julie Ryan and I had a great conversation around all that when she was on the podcast, right? Your intuitive gifts coming online, like getting deeper into your meditation, whatever it is, right? But it's like whatever the big systems tell you, the mainstream media tells you, it's usually the opposite is actually what's good for you. It's so interesting about the dandelion thing. It's like they're one of the best things we can consume for our liver health, our heart health, purifying the blood so much, right? But they've been just like completely demonized as this really annoying weed. So it just goes to show you that's just like one example of many. Um, yeah, and a lot of people are waking up to it, right? Like all the Monsanto and the pharma and the big food and all the different systems that are not supporting humanity's greatest good. And I think a lot more people are seeing that, and especially over the last few years. And part of it is us seeing this and then taking our power back, healing, becoming more independent, right? Learning to trust ourselves more. All of this is part of this. That's the ascension. we're supposed to be sovereign. We're supposed to, know how to take care of ourselves and have more connection to our bodies. And that's why I'm here sharing this podcast and why sometimes I dive more into these topics, because this is a huge part of why you may be having some of the symptoms you are: emotional shifts, desire to change your life, right? Less tolerance, or maybe you're just feeling the collective a lot and you're feeling a lot of intense energy and you don't know how to manage it, right? You're a sensitive empath. And if that's you, learning how to set healthy boundaries and learning a really good energy hygiene routine is really important. And if you want to talk about that, you can reach out and we can support you in, regulating your nervous system, making sure there's no hormone issues. We can work on that energy hygiene and help you manage the energy, because some days I can feel the collective really intensely. And it's like, okay, you know what? When I wake up, if I feel lack or I feel fear or I feel annoyed or I feel like just out of my power, I'm like, okay, wait, is this even mine? Or is this the collective? Because 9 times out of 10, it's not even my energy, but because I can feel and I'm sensitive, I can feel that. I'm like, okay, this isn't mine. I'm not taking it on. And then I envision like healing my light, clearing my energy field, my aura of anything that's like collective and not mine, or I ask my guides or my higher self to just help me clear anything out of my energy field that isn't mine, or I sage, right? There's so many different things you can do. So let's talk a little bit about the astrology, and ascension and the mindset. So, like I said last week, the astrology for this year, 2024, numerology. So 2 plus 2 plus 4 is an 8. That is about manifestation, abundance, and karma. And like I said last week, what you've put out is what you're going to get back this year. So if you've really been trying, it's this simple. If you've been a good human being on this planet, you're going to get good back, right? And you're still a good human being if you've struggled with binge eating, or you've been hard on your body, or you've been in self-sabotage. You're a good human being. It's the people who are really corrupt and really like negative, having a negative influence on this planet. Well, the karma is going to boomerang and blow up in their face, as it should, right? Because humanity deserves to have peace and thrive and be healthy and abundant and have healthy food to consume and abundance and have a high quality of life. It shouldn't just be certain people. So that's the theme of this year. And the astrology of this year is very unique. And so I'm going to have some guests come on this year to talk more about the astrology and some of the energies, that this is like their total like thing that they share all the time to help you open up and better understand. But that is kind of the flavor of the year. And so it's really exciting because this is all in support of this energetic shift on the planet. So it's an 8-year. We're in an ascension, right? There's a lot of stuff going on the planet. Some people are really excited. Some people are really nervous. It's okay. You're here having the soul experience you're meant to have. I really believe our souls design our entire life, the experience we want to have, the lessons we want to learn. And then we come down here, we get amnesia, forget how powerful we are, and we go through these experiences and we either fulfill them in the lifetime or we don't, and then we have to come back. But it's fine. It's whatever you choose. That's my belief. You don't have to take that on, but that is my belief. And it feels so much more empowering versus other limiting beliefs that, again, we've been sold by the mainstream and all that. So what can happen though, if there's a lot of like energetic disruption in the day, it's a full moon, we have a Mercury retrograde where like technology's failing, things are breaking, you're feeling impatient, you're having more kind of like tension in your relationships, like it can really trigger our ego. And so that's where, it's so important right now that we do our best to focus on getting and staying grounded. Because here's something that I had to remind myself of. There's just certain things that have been going on in the planet that I'm like, I just want that to end. I want justice. I want this. I want that. Like, there's just certain things like in the political front and the healthcare front and like all these different things. I'm like, I just want the best for humanity. And we all have, we all want that. Some of us think it's going to happen in a one way versus the other, and that's totally okay. But what I have had to realize is like, I don't have control. I can hold intent and a vision and like that I want the highest timeline and the outcome that's best for all of humanity, except those cronies that deserve justice. um, and then like the higher part of me and what other people have said is you have to learn how to love them too, because they're a soul having that experience to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, that's a hard pill to swallow. But that is spiritual growth right there. Yeah, this is going to take some time. But it's like letting go of control. There's certain circumstances you don't have control over that I don't have control over. It's not your or mine responsibility to have control over them. And it's not worth consuming certain content of certain circumstances going on the planet that literally shakes you to your core and has such a significant negative impact on your mental health that now you have anxiety. You are so stressed. You're not sleeping good. You're barely eating. You're binge eating more. Your nervous system's overwhelmed. It's very important that we set healthy boundaries. Yeah, okay, you want to stay on top of things that are going on, but you don't need to become obsessed and asphyxiated with different things and spend every extra waking moment you have online scaring the crap out of yourself or working yourself up or getting really upset. What's better, because that just lowers your frequency and can fuel negative behavior and fuel symptoms and fatigue and all the stuff you don't need, right? Digestion, bloating, flaring up, because we hold a lot of anger and guilt and frustration and not feeling good enough in our digestive system. And that could be flaring up bloating. And then you get even more upset, right? Um, I really believe it is, yeah, be aware. And then one of the best things you can do is set the boundaries and get grounded so that you can raise your frequency and have a positive impact on the collective and to send love to circumstances out of your control that you don't like seeing. That is one of the best things we can do and intend the best outcome for humanity, for that place, those people, that country, whatever it is. Yes, you're going to feel, you're going to have emotions, but then it's like, what are you doing to manage your ego and what are you doing to get grounded and take your power back? So to me, it's where things like healthy boundaries with technology, minimizing screen time. I intended a few years ago, I'm like, there's anything I really need to know about certain circumstances, I will find out in a positive way. I don't do fear porn. I don't do any of it. The more like fearful a piece of content is, I'm like, yeah, red flag to me, not even giving this any of my energy. Um, so it's like setting really strong boundaries with technology. And what you're going to notice is that's going to open up more time and space for you to deepen your self care practice, to build a self care practice, to strengthen your meditation, your breath work, get into EFT tapping, start journaling. You know, maybe you get outside more unless it's minus 45 like it was last week, right? But then you're inside and you're getting into a good book. You're getting into a stretching routine. You're going into more, positive self-talk. You're deeply connecting more in your relationships, but it's like creating and being more present in your own world, in your own house, and using tools to help you get grounded. These self-care practices, and obviously there's other ones, pick whatever you like, but these things are so helpful for us to get grounded and regulated and to support us, on this journey. We need practices. Take a sea salt bath. We need minerals, Epsom salts, liquid minerals, magnesium, electrolytes in your water, a pinch of pink or gray sea salt in your water. Minerals are extremely important to support our bodies through this ascension with the nervous system right now. Taking baths, for those of you that have the ability to get your feet in the grass right now and earth and ground, sit in the grass, lay in the grass, feet in the grass. I cannot wait for spring. I mean, whatever, things don't need to rush, but I cannot wait for spring and the snow to melt and for it to be nice enough out to go and earth and sit outside and put my feet in the grass and just ground. It's so relaxing and it realigns your frequency. Nature is the perfect vibration. So of course you're going to feel really good doing it and it realigns us, right? So what are your practices that you're using to help you get grounded and stay grounded? I really encourage you to consume less content that invokes the fear of God in you and consume more that is feel good or grounding or reassuring. But have boundaries with your phone, with your TV, etc. I think it's so important. Or consume more feel good content, more informative self help, mindset, spiritual, whatever it is, the things that are going to benefit you and help you improve your quality of life, help you clear out more of those negative behaviors and emotions. I think that's really, really important. We don't need more of the latter. We've already had enough of that. And the more we each do our part, the more it helps the collective of the planet. So, what are your best practices? Stay well hydrated, lots of really good filtered water. If you're drinking tap water, if you can even just get a Santivia water filter or one to put in your water bottle, or you can get just a unit to have on your countertop. These are all great to filter out all of the crap, the heavy metals, and other things that are in the water that can really mess with our systems, right? Get to know your local farmers in your local farmers market. I found the most incredible market that's open from April until the end of October, and their produce is not sprayed, all local meat and all kinds of things. And they had a little like area with little mini ponies and piggies and lambs and, oh, bunnies. It was so funny. You could go feed them, and I did, and it was just awesome. So I'm pumped for that. But in the interim, I found a local grocery delivery, and it's actually cheaper than our main grocery store, and the quality of everything is so much better. So we're saving like $50 a week on groceries. So look at what's around you. Get stuff from your neighbor. I'm more now than ever seeing more signs saying like, local grass-fed beef, like eggs, like, this is what we want to see more of, rather than like everything being restricted to like three big grocery stores that are producing such crappy quality, sourcing such crappy quality food and not supporting local. We want to create this local economy, and this is how we do it. So start finding and figuring out where your local markets are. Get really good food, put really good nourishing food into your body, try new recipes, right? If you have symptoms and things going on, get help, or do what you need to do to get answers. That's why I'm here. But I think this is really important. How are you going to stay grounded? What are you going to do to root and get grounded this year? Because I will tell you, if it was the me 14 years ago, I'd be binge eating like crazy because I'd be freaking terrified and feel so powerless about the world. Today, I'm very calm. I feel very, very much like no, nothing negative. I'm personally really excited. I think good is coming. I don't think, you know, right? I just do. And I'm not going to deny that and not admit that. What good would it do for all of you if I was like, oh my God, it's the end? It's like, well, it's the end for negative energy, but not for us. It's just the beginning, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of really, really, really big things and big shifts happen, but it doesn't mean it may not come with some nervous system interrupting experiences, you could say. But the more grounded you are, the more you do your deeper work, the more you use your tools, the calmer you'll be through whatever gets thrown at us, right? Because let's face it, everyone's been triggered by something the last few years, whether it was the pandemic, or it's your government, or it's certain like wars, or it's the money system, or it's binge eating, or it's your digestive system, or it's the mainstream media, or a view that your friend has. Like at the end of the day, though, here's what I want to leave you with. The more grounded you are, the more you love yourself, the more you learn how to quiet your ego, the more the judgment clears about other people and their views, beliefs, and opinions. Because what we have to come to the understanding of at the end of the day, that's part of this ascension and our own growth, is that everyone is here to have their own individual experience. And they decided before they came down here what they were going to do, not do, what they were going to believe, not believe, what they were going to participate in, not participate in. And it doesn't make them bad or wrong. It's the choice they chose, and it's the timeline and the path that they chose. And you cannot deny them of that experience, whatever there is there for their soul to learn, just like same for you. So be proud of yourself, be proud of your path, be proud of what you're doing, and be willing to do your deeper work. And it's okay if you believed one thing a year ago and now you believe something different now. That's okay. You're human and you're allowed to change your mind. But let's stop fighting with each other. Let's stop judging each other. Let's stop the divide, because we're supposed to be one family, right? One love. And unity is the key. So, how are you staying grounded? I'm going to ask you once more. Leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, you're welcome to DM me on Instagram. But I think this is so important. What are you doing to stay grounded? There's obviously so much more you could try: crystals, bring nature inside, plants, flowers, listen to solfeggio frequencies. Just go on to YouTube and type in SOLFEGGIO frequencies. Very high frequency music that helps you regulate your nervous system and feel more calm and grounded. So many things you can do, but bring in these tools. You will thank yourself for using them and deepening your practices. And it will help through ascension symptoms and the energy of this year. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This was a pleasure to record for you all, something a little different. But like I said, this is an important part of me and my essence, and I want to share that with you. I think it's so important we fully express ourselves and don't hold back, because we all have something really beautiful to contribute. So the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/459. If you have questions about the group program or one-on-one or the gut health masterclass, You can email info@amberproof.ca. Otherwise, you can go to the show notes and click the links or get wherever you need to connect with me, to go over questions and get you onto the aligned path that you want to be on. Let's have this be the year you really heal. You don't need to take this baggage with you. Heal the binge eating, find out the root of your people pleasing and heal it. Get over the weight, body, numbers chasing battle. You deserve to have the freedom. And I'm excited to be here to help you along the way. So remember, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health, your well-being, your ascension, getting grounded, whatever it is. So take action now. Have a beautiful day, a great rest of your next few days. Because guess what? I've got a beautiful podcast episode with a guest coming on Wednesday, and you're not going to want to miss it. We had a really great conversation, and I'll leave the rest to surprise for you to check out on Wednesday. So stay tuned. Sending lots of love.